Welcome back to Right Here in Mass. Joining me today is Nichole Chapais, an iced coffee addict and spicy creative. She uses her 20 plus years of marketing expertise to fix fractured marketing and corral the chaos communications can be when no one holds the marketing seat at your business. She owns Stargazer Creative, which helps businesses amplify their in person and online visibility using marketing that feels authentic, sustainable, and effective. From newsletters and social content to messaging and campaigns, Nichole brings consistency across all platforms to take the guesswork out of your growth so you can focus on what you do best while finally feeling confident in how you show up. Nichole, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Ashley.
I'm so excited to have you here after knowing you for, I don't even know, probably at least a few years now, and
Yeah.
just being in the same circles. This has been such a long time coming, and I know it'll be such a fun episode. And so, before we get into things, I'd love to have you start off by sharing with our listeners more about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. You did a great job of summarizing that. But so I'm Nicole. I grew up in Southern Maine, right next to Wells, but my mother is from Revere. So we spent a lot of time, as you can imagine, just in the city and down here in Boston, which is where I live now, just outside of Boston. I'm in Waltham, which is great because I can have my coffee on my front deck and I can look at the Prudential because we're that close. And I love it. And I love the marketing aspect. I was talking to someone the other day, and I've loved marketing since I was a child. If you go on my Instagram, I actually have a reel about how I used to pepper my parents with questions about the commercials on TV, like why teddy bears sell toilet paper, like understanding consumer mindset. Like I was just fascinated with it. So went to school for it, and I just love it. It's different every day. Everybody needs a different slice of the marketing pie. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. I find it fun and it makes my heart happy.
Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to hear through Stargazer the types of services that you offer and also the types of clients you support with through those.
Yeah. So usually I support clients that have teams of 2 to 5, but no one's owning that marketing seat, right? A lot of times we come across businesses, they have a business owner, maybe a general manager, so obviously usually a finance person, sometimes in-house or as a vendor, sometimes a salesperson or appointment setter or technicians, right? Like sometimes I work in the construction industry. They might have installers bringing in doing tile work, that kind of stuff. But no one owns the marketing piece of the pie. So I joke that it gets hot potatoed around the office. And then they wonder why they're not seeing results. But what happens is like Betsy over here is doing social media, John's doing the newsletters, and so and so over there is maybe updating website copy or doing all of the networking and talking about the business. But they've never met in one room to talk about the message that they plan to put out into the world, right? And so the message gets muddy and inconsistent, and it's 2025, right? 2026. So what's really going to happen is that no one's giving you money or becoming a client without doing a digital deep dive. And when people do that digital deep dive and they're looking at, oh, you told me about ABC service and I'm on your website and I don't see it, and then on your social media and you haven't posted in 6 weeks and you're not even putting stories up, right? Because I'm not an advocate. I don't think you have to post every day, but you have to show some life, right? Whether you're quiet quitting and you do a quiet quit grid on your Instagram, or you're on one of the other platforms like TikTok or Facebook, depending on your community, or LinkedIn, you have to show some visibility. And so if people are doing that dive and there's no online visibility, there's inconsistency with maybe how your social profile and everything match. It looks weird. And that's when people are like, they're hesitant to spend money.
Mhm.
So I like to help create that consistency. So my clients are industry agnostic, right? I have some interior designers, some people in the construction industry. I have finance people. It typically help support some realtors, some IT people. They're all over the place. But it's always the same problem that they've noticed that there's no consistency and that their team is going crazy because they're trying to do the job they're being paid for, and then this other support element that does help because I'm a huge advocate. I think you and all other marketers are, right? Online and in-person visibility is huge, and the consistency of the message is what really drives it home and gets the results. So those are the types of clients that where no one's owning it, or frankly they don't want to, right? The people who don't want to turn on Instagram, they're like, I never go on it, but my kids say I need to be there. That's also when I kind of roll my eyes and I'm like, but do you? We can talk because you don't
Yeah.
need to be someplace, but you don't need to be everywhere, right? But you need to be someplace. And
Mhm.
that could be a newsletter in an inbox. So, yeah, I like to, like I said, meet them where they are. A lot of the strategy, a lot of the planning and creating those copy points so that their messaging is the same across platforms and when their reps are meeting people.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
right. And sometimes for my clients, that includes a board of directors. Um, Usually what I end up doing is creating some materials or canned responses to things that the board of directors can use, right? One of the examples I use is I had a rest home and their board of directors would tell people that they wanted people coming out of rehab. Well, it's a rest home, which is for older people, and they did want people coming out of rehab, but like I got a new hip because I keep falling in the shower and maybe I shouldn't be living at home rehab. And the board of directors kept referring them to people who came out of regular rehab, like AA rehab, you know, and not even the age range of someone who would be in a rest home, right? Like if you
Mhm.
came, like you just need like maybe they need a home in the interim until they find their footing, but they're definitely not looking to live with a bunch of 70-year-olds. So
Right.
so their phone is ringing with all these people that they feel bad turning away, but they're not their clients. So I worked with them and met with the board of directors to kind of make that messaging consistent and
Mhm.
the materials there. So that those are kind of
Yeah.
my people.
Totally. And I love your priority on consistency, both with the messaging, like what you say and how you say it, but also like how often you say it. And
Hmm.
totally on the same wavelength because I just wrote a social post for myself about this week. But I mean, you gave the example of like talking about something on social media that is not on your website.
Hmm.
And I think that's so true. I had previous clients who I no longer work with, but would draft a social post for them, and they're like, "Oh, we can't use this because like I don't offer that service anymore." And I'm like, "But it's on your website." And
Hmm.
so I
It's
think
so
like, oh,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and I think any business listening, there's something to just keep in mind. Like once a month or once a quarter, just go through your website and audit and say, is this still relevant to who I'm serving and what I'm offering right now? So I just had to say, I love that you really shared that message because
Thank you.
it is so important to small businesses.
Yeah, it is. It is. And even I try to remember because some people also have like newsletters. They're like, oh no, my welcome sequence is set and forget. And I'm like, but is it? Can we
Yeah.
just check it? And again, once a quarter, right? I think 2 20-minute tasks once a quarter isn't a big ask.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love that you bring people together, especially like the employee part. That part in itself is important too, is like when you have several cooks in the kitchen, it can be difficult to ensure that things are being said the exact same way or as they should
Hmm.
be. And so that's another thing for businesses to keep in mind too, is like if you have multiple hands in the pot, they all need to be on the same page to make sure that you're not breaking that trust from a potential client or providing confusion or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's part of what I offer with my services, my retainer models. I offer strategy and consulting, right?
Mhm.
And so I've had clients that I had a restaurant owner, and part of his package was just consulting. He had, if you're not familiar with the restaurant industry, there's a lot of turnkey marketing services for them, right? They're going to do their social posts, their text message marketing, and their newsletters, as well as like, and you'll know them because you'll go to the different restaurant websites and they'll be giving away a free gift card to the restaurant. And it's usually the same agency. And the owner of the business was like, I would need to make food. I need to sell food. I don't need to like keep checking what they're doing. So that was literally my role. Him and I would meet once a month. We would outline what his meals and what his specials were going to be for the month, what his focus was, like inventory wise, what he's trying to push, what he's going to get ROI on. And then I became the intermediary. So his
Mhm.
vendor and I worked together. I proofed everything. I pushed back, made sure it was consistent, and just approved everything on his behalf, which is nice. And I do it for another client as well. They have an admin who is in an administrative role, but also helping to support their social media for the organization. And I give her direction and a graphic assistant, right? Or editing and sending her graphics and captions. And she runs everything through me. And I'm like the approval person
Mhm.
because as business owners, right? Or team builders, especially you're doing business development, you're doing all the things as a business owner. when you hire someone for certain tasks, you want to know that they're executing properly. So just to have someone who's like, let's meet once in a, 1 hour a month, let's chat through everything. Here's everyone's tasks, and then run them through me if you have questions or if you need answers or if you need direction. I think it just helps, right? To that team consistency and additional support that, people like you or I can offer business owners.
Absolutely. And also too, I know that for your clients, like having an expert like yourself who has that external like outlook or perspective, or honestly, like you just don't have skin in the game because you're not like so biased, I'd say is the best way to phrase it for the company. Like you
Hmm.
can have that more, I don't want to say like blunt perspective, but like you can just come there from like honesty and truth and like raw suggestions and be like, actually, no, this is not what you should be doing. And that is such a huge value in these companies working with you because you aren't just like helping them to do things just to do things,
Hmm.
like you're and so intentional about how you tell them what to do.
Yeah, I love it. And I often say that to people. I'm like, here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. Here are the pros and cons of doing it this way, doing it your way. Ultimately, I'm not paid enough to make those decisions. It is your business, right? But I'm telling you, like, here are your alternatives, right? And,
Mhm.
and it's like, tell me which way direction you want to go. But, and I hit up against it a lot. Especially when we're sending newsletters, right? So many people, even in this day and age, are still nervous about sending newsletters. They're like, I'm gonna be so muddy. And I laugh because I often will ask them, how many emails a month do you get from Target? And nobody really knows the answer, right? And you're not getting one a week. You're getting probably one every other day.
Yeah.
But you don't notice it because you just delete it
Hmm.
because you don't need anything from them today. And the day you need something, it's there in your inbox, right?
Hmm.
Um, I was talking about Valvoline today actually with somebody because I need an oil change. I've needed an oil change. It's literally been on my to-do list for months. Don't judge. But also working from home, right? I'm not driving that much. I'm like, it'll be fine. Um, but Valvoline sent a coupon one day, and I was like, ooh. I opened the email, I saved it because I was like, I do need an oil change, but I never read the email. And it was a
Yeah.
1 day coupon. So then today I got an email from them and I'm like reading it while I'm talking to somebody. And she was like, is it that interesting of an email? I'm like, no, but here's what happened last time. So I need to make sure I know when to take advantage of this coupon. And then we laughed because I was like, it's a good thing I read it
Yeah.
because it was 15% off like today and tomorrow. And it's 20% off my oil change Friday and Saturday. So
Oh,
two coupons, 4 days, one email. And I was like, oh, as a marketer, right? I'm like, oh, that's an interesting strategy.
yeah.
Right? And especially because they're hitting people right before the holidays.
Hmm.
And I was like, huh. So but it taught me the lesson, right? Because I don't normally, but I was like, I only open their emails because I need an oil change.
Yeah.
And then I missed the one opportunity and I was like, oh my God. Because I think, it came on like Monday or Tuesday. And when I went to get the oil change on the weekend, I was like going to get the coupon and I was like, oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
And then clearly didn't get the oil change still
Right.
on my
And
list.
but one theme that you alluded to that I think that I want to reiterate because I think it's really good that you shared it, but it's like people aren't always going to engage with content that you put out, but they will remember it. That's what you did with
Hmm.
the Valvoline email. Like you didn't do anything with the email, but you kept it. And when you were ready, you were going to act on it. And so I feel like that's what every small business owner should remember is like it's not always going to be a home run with your content, or people
Hmm.
aren't always going to immediately follow through on your call to action, but they will when they're ready. And that goes back to what you mentioned about consistency, being
Yeah.
consistent and showing up
Hmm.
in those places.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely be consistent. And it's amazing. I mean, you probably see it, your clients probably see it, people listening probably see it, right? Sometimes I'll put something in my newsletter with like maybe one of my freebies or a downloadable, and then somebody will have taken advantage of it. And I'll be like, I don't even know who that person is. I didn't even
Mhm.
know they were getting my emails. Or it's somebody I know and I'm like, oh, they get my newsletters? No idea. Or like I'll be out at an event and someone will comment on my newsletter because I send two a week. I send one on Tuesdays, which is marketing based, and one on Thursdays, which is networking based,
Mhm.
different networking events happening, etc. And it's always like fascinating to me when people are like, oh, I'm here because I'm like, oh, you get my newsletter. But like
Yeah.
I try not, and that's where like I try to help clients realize social followers, email subscribers, whatever it might be, is the metrics matter, but they don't really matter, right?
Mhm.
Like Okay, great. People are like, well, only 50 people loved that post. And I'm like, and if 50 people walked into your office right now and needed and wanted to take advantage of your retainer, could you do that? No, right?
Yeah.
You want three or five of them. So, like, you being grateful for what's coming into your universe and realizing, like, of those 50 people, now if I engage with them, go to their content, there's processes you can follow, right, to transform them into clients and
Mhm.
not be overwhelmed, but just being grateful, like, oh, that's exciting to know. Like, so I'm never really looking at like unsubscribes, subscribes, follows. Like, I'm like, let's, just be grateful for what's happening in our feeds and on our inboxes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a great analogy. And also, too, one of the things, like, there are many things that I admire about you. And one of them that I really love is how you prioritize and emphasize both online visibility and offline visibility. I think a lot of people forget about the offline piece, but
Hmm.
it's just as important, if not more important, than the online piece. And so I'd love for you to talk about that, why it's so crucial for small business owners within the state to take advantage of both parts of the equation.
Yeah, it's so important because I think as humans, right, we kind of grow up socializing in closed environments, right? We're either chatting with our family members, maybe at like a family event, 4th of July holiday, whatever it might be. We're chatting with people in our classrooms in school, and maybe we're chatting with people on our sports teams. And then when we become adults and we're pushed into the business world, or we're entrepreneurs and we're starting a business, it's literally like go into this room, there's 75 people in there, you might know two. Good
Mhm.
luck. And we get so much anxiety. We go into the rooms and we're talking to people, but then we're fumbling over what we're saying. We're maybe saying a different thing to everybody. And then somebody's like, "Oh, did you meet Ashley?" "Yeah, I met Ashley. She has a podcast." "Oh, maybe we met a different Ashley." The Ashley I know is a social media manager. She has a marketing agency. And so if you're consistently like going into the room knowing, okay, this is an audience of fellow business owners and this is what I'd love to get for an ROI from this event, right? Maybe you want to get 3 email subscribers. Maybe you want to have 2 coffee connects with potential referral partners, whatever it might be, and that you're gearing your pitch for that. Like, hey, it'd be really so I have a marketing agency, I serve teams of 2 to 5, and I'm always looking for partners so that I can refer off work to or so that I can work with them on a white label sort of situation. If you know anyone right now, I'm looking for graphic designers and copywriters, right? Like just being very concise with what you're saying and saying the same thing to everybody, it helps. And that in-person visibility then turns them into followers and email subscribers and makes people remember who you are. Even if they don't remember your name or your company name, they'll remember an element about you, right? I
Yeah.
have star earrings on. I don't know if you can really tell.
Yeah.
I typically wear them every time I'm networking, and people have stopped me. Oh my God, oh my God. Wait, you're Nichole, right? The star earrings. That's that, or you're Stargazer. Remind me your name. They remember it because anytime I'm at a networking event, I try to have elements of blue, green, or stars on my person because that is what my brand is, right? And that helps kind of make, I joke, I used to say snowball, but now I say money ball, makes the money ball roll bigger, right? Because the
I love
snowball, my
that.
God, gets anything frozen unless it's cold hard cash, right? So we want the money ball to grow bigger. But it's super important. And it's not only having the consistent message, but having it in a room that has the right audience. I
Yeah.
see a lot of people, especially here in Massachusetts, right? A lot of business owners are members of groups like Better Business Women, Boston Business Women, or the Better Business Bureau, or even Massachusetts Business Network. And then they realize, like, oh, I'm not getting a lot of value. But sometimes I see that, like, they're going to events, and maybe the event is um, all men. Maybe it's like a
Mhm.
90% like men after dark kind of event, but all people welcome, allies welcome, whatever it might be. And they're networking at that event, and they're like, well, I came away with nothing. And then when you ask them like what their marketing goal was, what their business plan is, and they're like, well, I teach yoga to moms who've had a child in the last 18 months. And I'm like, then why did you go to that event? Like, what? Are you kidding me? So and people, well, because my friend was going, my husband was going, and these 2 other guys I know, and the woman that here that I know, like my friends are going. And I always remind them, my friends are not your friends.
Mhm.
And my clients are not your clients. There's a reason, right? So, and I know that it's easier to network with your friends, but it's more efficient to network with your ideal clients.
Mhm.
And so that you need that alignment, right? Which is what brought me to create the networking neighborhood where I joke that I'm the mayor. So it's a database. It's about 125, 150 spaces and places, some online, some in person, predominantly the East Coast or New England area. I do have some like in Arizona and Canada and Florida, et cetera, around the country. But it literally is like, here's the space, here's the organizer of the space. Here are the links you might need to follow them on social media, to sign up for their events or to see their event calendar. And I include the demographics.
Mhm.
So there are different demographics if you've ever used Airtable, so you can sort it different ways. And they get to the community all through Circle. And it takes people a while because what they realize is like, even though it's on Circle, which is a membership community, there's no open forum for chatting. And I'm like, maybe at some point I'll add it. But here are resources. I have resources for like writers that I love to really help people hone in their, excuse me, their bio or their LinkedIn profile, to use Airtable, to download different tools and apps that I love. Or if some people like in my sphere, as you know, have really great freebies that
Mhm.
might help them. I don't know if you know Diane Darling or not. She's a
Mhm.
big networker in the area, right? So like some freebies and resources for people that will help you network better. Like, I don't want to teach you how to network better. I just want my people and people I care about networking in the right spaces. So I manage it on Circle, but it brings them to an Airtable, and it's low cost, right? It's like $222, I think, a year right now. And you get access to all these spaces. And then I joke that I give people a tour of the neighborhood, right? So they can find their space. But yeah, but it's because I just saw this gap, and I feel like that's part of why you created Massachusetts Business Network, right? The gap with people like not finding networking that meets their needs, or like struggling to see results from the networking. So it's super important. It's important to know
Yeah.
that you're not just spending money to go to events that you're then not getting anything from, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like really all about not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it sticks, but having intention behind it. And
Hmm.
so that's what I think is so great about the networking neighborhood is as you shared, like you share those demographics because no one wants to pay for a membership or pay for an event and then get to the event and be like, this is not who I thought would be
Hmm.
attending this.
Yeah.
Our time is sacred. So I love that you provide that information up front for people so that they know what they need to do moving forward if it's a good fit or not for them to go to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it helps. And it's funny because the people who are in there like, oh, I found this because of you. Like they get so excited. They're like, oh, and then they see the value because then not only do you get a couple clients, right? But then you end up getting referral partners because it's also your shared collective community, right? And maybe some people aren't, you're doing different things, right? Like I have people, I'm sure you do as well. I have people in my sphere who are only social media managers. I have people in my sphere who only write newsletters or only manage LinkedIn. And they're great connections, right? Like I had a prospecting call the other day with a gentleman who wants to mail a couple postcards. Can I help him with it? Yes, but I'm going to send him to Promo Plus, right? Because Gina can handle that. She
Mhm.
can help you design and print and mail and buy lists and do all the things. So like it's great to just when you're in the community of where your ideal client is, you'll see that like you'll get clients, you'll get referral partners, and you'll end up making friends because you have this camaraderie that you're looking for the same thing, right? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
let's go here, let's go here, let's go here, because we both want this, this, and this from our clients or types of clients. So like that's when you like start to see things broaden, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
absolutely. And on the topic of like getting results from the marketing that you're doing, whether it's online or offline, that's one question I'd love to ask you is as we're in 2026, what are
Mhm.
the marketing channels or strategies or tactics that you think are really important for small businesses in the state to go all in on?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We kind of saw the shift happening, I would say probably around August in 2025 in my world, right? Um, Community. Everybody I'm talking to wants community. Whether it's online or in person, it doesn't really matter, but they're looking for collective spheres. And I think I still blame COVID at times, right? I think COVID killed community because people had to narrow down, really niche it out. And now people are like, no, 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 like I need people, I need partners. I'm seeing already that like other business owners that I network with or that are my business besties and they're friends with, they're like, can we get together? Can we just poster board out those ideas? Can we rent a conference room for the day and can we all hash out this idea or have this idea? I want everyone to brainstorm with me. Like people are looking for brainstorming buddies. They're looking for that, the things we offer, right? They're looking for the strategy sessions. They're looking for planning and being more thoughtful
Mhm.
and not just being everywhere, like we'd said earlier, right? Like you don't need to be everywhere, but you need to be where your potential clients are and frankly, you need to be where you enjoy being. Because if you
Right.
never want to open up Instagram, don't open up Instagram. You know, I mean, now, of course, there's Lemonade, which is interesting, right? Because it's like a combo of your Pinterest, Instagram feeds. Um, for some of my clients, it's a great platform for them because, they're interior designers or they're cabinet makers and sellers. And that's where people, especially that, and everyone knocks new platforms. They are always like, that's where the kids hang out. And I hate to break it to you, as a 50-year-old, I hate to break it to you, the kids now range, like they go, like TikTok is like until I think the demographic's 40 or 45, but it's predominantly your late 20s to your early 40s.
Mhm.
Lemonade is similar because they got there from TikTok. And
Yeah.
and they're frustrated, like they don't want Pinterest is great, but Pinterest is stagnant, right? And this is more like you're just scrolling through, you're picking your topics, scrolling through. So you have to be where your people are. And like the 40-year-olds have the money. They're the people who are buying homes, starting families. So you're a financial planner, you're an insurance seller, you're a realtor. These are your target, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to be where those people are. And again, maybe you don't want to be in all those spaces, but then meeting them where they are, like you're going to different community collabs. I have a few different clients and people in my sphere lately. They've been hosting free chats at libraries, right? Because people just, they want to be going into spaces with other people who have the same kind of thought process and values. One of the things I've been working on to do in 2026 is a social salon, and salons are
Ooh.
coming back. I know a few different people that are doing salons, which, if you're not familiar, I mean, Gossip Girl, come on, that's how like we hard launch relationships, but also they're curated conversations around a specific topic. So you're bringing people in, casual, comfy, usually sitting around a living room or in some sort of cocktail jazzy environment and having little nibbles and everyone's talking in different small groups about the same topic. And then you're kind of sharing, or when there's an aha moment, you're maybe raising a baton or a hand and being like, okay, we just had an epiphany here, and
Mhm.
sharing that epiphany with the group and getting group collab thoughts on it. And then again, breaking out into individual little chats. But it's because people want community, right? They want that
Yes,
shared and they want less AI. And there's so much AI online now that
totally.
people like, I'd rather know that I'm meeting with humans in person until we get to the point we have to start checking people's pulse.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
You're like,
Ashley, are you real?
you might be a
We're gonna,
robot.
right? We're gonna start tapping people's foreheads. Are you real or are you a robot? Just checking,
Yes. Oh my
right?
gosh. I co-sign on everything you shared because community is so huge. And especially the point that you mentioned about AI. I feel like a lot of people use AI, but I think they're also getting, I don't know the way to describe it, not like frustrated, but almost like immune to it. And they're like, we just
Hmm.
see AI all the time that we just need like something fresh, something new. And so you totally hit the nail on the head with that by talking about how people just want human connection again and they just want to be able to come together and have deep conversations and learn and grow and connect.
Yeah. And I definitely think they're disconnecting from it, right? And I think that's the same reason we're seeing it's funny. Someone in my sphere the other day was telling me that Meta stock was down, and I was like, I'm like, I don't know what they're doing next. Obviously, if it's down and you want to buy it, you buy it. I'm not a stock person. You do your thing. I'm not a finance person, right? But from my side of the spear, it's because there's so many people frustrated with the constant updates, right? I don't even want to call them improvements, and the lack of knowing, is this a real account? Is this a bot account? Was this a real caption? Was this a bot caption? And
Mhm.
then they like canceled M dash, which as a writer, like I've used M
It
dashes my
hurts
whole
us.
life. And now I'm like, oh, let me censor myself, right?
Yeah.
Because AI's killed the M dash.
Yeah.
People just, that's why like when people are frustrated, they're seeing engagement go down. And again, it's like if people are looking, they're gonna find it. You need to. level set. But yeah, it's true. There's just too much to muddiness to like walk through and wade through that people like, just bring me to the humans. Just bring
Oh,
me to
totally.
yeah.
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 And so a few of the core things that you shared as advice for business owners is being consistent and also going all in on community. In addition to that, is there like one hill that you would die on when it comes to marketing for small businesses?
I mean, the hills I usually die on are that metrics don't matter, right?
Oh, love it.
But really, metrics don't matter. Like, stop spooling about it because what's really going to happen is that the people who want to find you will find you,
Hmm.
right? The people who are meant to be in your sphere will be in your sphere. Um, so you don't need to worry about the number of followers you're getting, in my opinion, the number of shares or views and all of that. Are they great? Yes, but are they bringing in the dollars and cents? Probably not. And
Hmm.
and the goal really as business owners is to be making money. So I rather see people have like, excuse me, lower likes, lower engagement, and then it's manageable, right? Whether it's me on their behalf or you on their behalf or them, you can slide into DMs, you can send them some messages. And now, of course, we know like many chats will even automate that for you, right? Like
Right.
there are so many ways to automate engagement now because everybody wants engagement. They want to that community level, right? They
Mhm.
want someone saying, "Thank you so much for the follow. I saw you love my content on this. Did you know I also have a free like downloadable about that? Here's the link if you want it." And just showing value, showing honest value, showing integrity, and just being human.
Yeah.
That's really what people want, and that's the hill I will die on. People tell me all the time they need things. I'm like, but you don't.
Yeah, you
But you
don't.
don't. And again, because I'll say to them, okay, but if 50 people walked into your office right now and said, I'd like a contract because I'm going to sign, would your funnel fill or would your funnel bust?
Yeah.
That's really the big thing. And
Totally. And
right?
and another part of that too, because I love that example that you shared where it's like the numbers don't matter. Because it also
Mhm.
may be this too. Like say if you book 50 consultation calls, but out of all of those, only two people are the right
Yeah.
fit, compared to if you book five consultation calls and same thing, two people are the right fit. Would you rather have five calls or 50 calls?
Right? That's so true. And
Like waste
and
of
I yeah,
time.
so true. And I'm a big advocate of honoring your calendar, right?
Yeah.
Like if some of my content now already is like start going through your calendar. Go through the back half of the calendar. Always go through the calendar and block out time for yourself.
Hmm.
Even if you don't have plans, like the week of Christmas to New Year's is a good example, right? Catholic, I have family in Maine, I have family here in Mass. The last thing I want to do is worry about, oh, am I going to be at my dad's in Maine for Christmas? And what if I can't see my grandmother and I need to see her the day after? And like maybe the day after Christmas is a Monday. And I'm like, oh, well, am I going to be in the office? And do I have to be in work? Do I have to be on Wi-Fi? Like, what? No one, especially when you're your own boss, should be worried about what you're doing the day after Christmas or
Right.
on New Year's Eve or, like certain dates, like 4th of July, like you're planning to go to Maine. Great. Am I going to intentionally drive up to Maine on the 3rd of July? Like, come on, right? Like, you're going to want to plan that. And we have that ability. It's just a matter of making sure that what we want in reality for a day to day and what our schedulers for all of those meetings and stuff have. So, like, that's my big thing to your point about not wanting 50 calls, right? Like, hold space for
Yes.
yourself and your sanity. And I know, I mean, you wake up at times of the morning that I would not willingly wake up. But I mean, you do you. I see your medals, right? I know you love the running, which is great for you. I would rather just like have my coffee, maybe take a walk around the park and lift some weights, but that's me. But yeah, but it's like we all do things differently. So like just make sure that your calendar's there. And if you only want to have, if you're brightest and sharpest first thing in the morning, then make your discovery calls first thing in the morning. And
Yeah,
don't let them schedule after 3 o'clock when you're like running around with kids and making dinner and like tired and not on your, at your freshest moment. Like,
absolutely.
when I say that people they can do that and they're like, yeah, but what if I'm like, nobody wants to do business with you just because you're willing to do whatever they want you to do.
Hmm.
Right. And those are the people who, I mean, we both experience them, right? Then those become the clients that you're like, why am I working with this person? I am not charging them nearly enough for the amount of time that they're taking from me, right?
Yep.
Like we all know, whether you're making widgets or you're doing social media like us, Like, the time involvement for those tasks. And when someone is taking double or triple that amount of time, it's kind of like networking with the wrong people, right? It
Absolutely.
all becomes not so worth your time. Yeah.
Totally. I love that. Hold boundaries with
Yeah.
yourself and clients. I think that's
Mhm.
important. Like definitely
Yep.
having that two sides of the equation there, which I love. And one question I love to ask our guests, and I'm so excited to hear what your response is to this. But I always love to ask people what their favorite local businesses are to support. And so I'm curious to hear what yours might be.
Oh my God. So iced coffee runs through my veins. So, Common Good Co. here in Waltham on Moody Street. I love Mighty Squirrel. I've yet to beat a Fenway, which
Hmm.
I know makes me a horrible human because it's been open for so long. But their flagship store is here in Waltham, and I host a monthly coffee and co-working at the location in Watertown, and
Oh,
that's at
nice.
Arsenal Yards. Which, if you haven't been there, it's the current trend, right? They're taking down malls, making them open plazas until they start taking down open plazas and making them close malls. I feel like that's the cycle of retail real estate. But it's a great space. It's walkable. There's tons of parking. And this location the Watertown location has tapas in addition to beers and
Nice.
seltzers and sodas. The Waltham location has different food trucks. So super fun. I love both of those. And I also love Yum Bunnies. I have a sweet tooth. They're here in Waltham as well. They are a cakery with a C, not to be confused with a bakery. Cupcakes, cake jars. They make these adorable cake jars. And then they make cake sandwiches. So it's not a whoopie pie. They're actually rounds of cake with frosting in the middle. Um, so light and fluffy, whereas the whoopie pie is going to be like a dense. And then, well, local mass. We're keeping it local mass, right? Yeah, let's keep it local mass. I love that.
I love it. And I love that you had all like food beverage choices because
Yeah.
that is like, always where my mind goes to is like, what are the eateries that I want to
Yeah.
go to and support and all of the things.
I use AnyList on my phone. We were talking about it today at an event I was at, and I literally have one of my lists that is all places to eat. And like I'll make a note, and especially if someone recommends it to me, like what the dish is they recommend that I should get, right?
I love
And then
that.
I have it categorized kind of who's in Mass, who's outside of Mass, who's even like I think I have places in Houston. Like there's a Texas cinnamon roll place. It's like the cinnamon roll the size of the table. But because you never know. You never know when people want to know like where they should go eat or drink or whatever. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I love it. Nicole, this has been such a fun
This is
episode,
fun.
and I've
Yeah.
so enjoyed having you on the show to talk about everything you're doing with networking and marketing and all of the things. And I'd love to have you share with our listeners all the places they can find you online because they'd like to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me anywhere at Stargazer Creative MA. So that's on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Um, and I also have an Instagram that I just started for the networking neighborhood, which is just the networking neighborhood on Instagram as well. So those are the places. And then, of course, stargazercreative.com. And if you go to stargazercreative.com/links, you can see all kind of, it's like my link tree, right? It's the events I have coming up, kind of the happenings in my space. And then there you can also sign up for my two newsletters, the Tuesday one and the Thursday one that I talked about.
Perfect. I'll link to those places in the show notes that our listeners can easily find everything you're up to there. But thank you so much again for coming on this week's episode.
This was great. Thank you so much.